Shocking fact, Jungkook's home facility is the new standard for global idols. The South Korean entertainment industry has for years been known for being strict, disciplined, and full of unwritten boundaries. Idols can be successful, can be rich, can be famous, but there is one thing that is rarely discussed openly: how they live behind their own doors. But that all changed when BTS's Jungkook name returned to the limelight, not because of a new song, not because of a grand concert, but because of the shocking facts about his private home facility that is now touted as the new standard for global idols. Initially, this issue only circulated as whispers in industry circles. Some of the production staff who have visited, some cross-country colleagues, to overseas entertainment executives who accidentally see how Jungkook lives his daily life. They are not talking about excessive luxury, but rather about something much deeper. A home designed not just to live, but to survive, recover, and grow as a human being in the midst of global pressures. Jungkook's house is not seen as a show-off symbol of wealth. Quite the contrary. Many people are surprised by its calm, functional, and very personalized atmosphere. In the midst of a K-pop world that often glorifies sparkling luxury apartments, Jungkook's house actually presents a different impression. A living space that prioritizes mental health, creativity, and inner peace. From here comes the big discussion. Is this the beginning of a change in the way the world views idol life? Industry sources mentioned that the facilities at Jungkook's home are designed with a long-term approach. There is a private rehearsal room that contains not just a mirror and speakers, but a special sound system designed to be safe for hearing. There is a private recording room that does not aim to replace a professional studio, but allows Jungkook to express ideas whenever inspiration comes without time pressure. This is considered revolutionary because idol has been known to rely entirely on agency facilities. More surprisingly, the house has a special area for physical and mental recovery. Not just a private gym, but a relaxation room with natural lighting, open vents, and a design that favors tranquility. In an industry that often demands idols to perform perfectly every day, the existence of a space like this is considered a tacit statement that health is no longer a compliment, but a primary need. A foreign entertainment executive was even reportedly speechless after seeing the facility firsthand. He said that what Jungkook has now is equivalent to a world-class athlete recovery facility. This statement quickly spread, sparking a heated discussion among the management of the new generation of idols. If one idol can live and work in this ideal environment, why can't another? But what most touched the public's attention was not the question of modern technology or design, but the philosophy behind the house itself. Jungkook is known as a figure who grew up from a simple family, undergoing a trainee period with tremendous pressure from a very young age. Many believe that every corner of his house is a reflection of the course of life. The house is not an escape from the past, but an answer to the wounds that he never told clearly. It was here that Jungkook's house began to be considered the new standard. Not because of its size, not because of its value, but because of its meaning. Global idols are now judged not only by achievements on stage, but also by how they take care of themselves. And Jungkook indirectly points out that true success is when one can go home and really feel safe. Industry reaction was mixed. Several major agencies began reconsidering the idol dormitory system. Discussions about providing a more humane living space are beginning to surface. Even outside of Korea, Jungkook's name is mentioned in entertainment industry seminars as an example of a paradigm shift. From idol as a performance engine to idol as a global individual with real needs. Fans responded with mixed emotions. There is a sense of pride. There is haru. There is also a bitter realization that so far the public often forgets that idols are also human. Many soldiers said they were speechless when they realized that the facilities of Jungkook's house were not about luxury, but about healing. About a child who grows up too fast and ends up building a space to protect himself. Interestingly, Jungkook himself never openly flaunts his house. No luxury tours, no sensational content. Information about the house's facilities actually appeared from the other party, as if it were proof that he never intended to make it public consumption. It is precisely this attitude that reinforces its impact. The world sees, then asks, if without showing off alone has changed the standard, What exactly is the meaning of success? Now, as the global entertainment industry continues to grow and pressure on public figures grows, the Jungkook house stands as a symbol of silent change. He did not speak out loud, did not make controversial statements, but his presence was enough to shake the old way of seeing things. A home that was originally just a place to go home is now a mirror for the industry. Are they ready to put people above the system? This surprising fact finally opened the eyes of many. That global idol standards are no longer just a matter of charts, awards, or popularity, but rather about how they live when the stage lights go out. And in his silence, Jungkook has set that standard. No speeches, no declarations, just the way he chooses to live. The silence left by the fact about Jungkook's house has become the loudest voice in the global entertainment industry. There was no press conference, no official clarification, but the conversation continued behind the scenes. Managers, producers, and mental health consultants began to talk about one thing that was previously considered taboo. Has the industry ignored the human side of an idol for too long? Jungkook's name came up repeatedly in those closed-door discussions. Not as a singer, not as a member of BTS, but as a clear example that a global idol can build his own life system without losing his identity, without losing his humility, and without sacrificing his mental health. As many are beginning to realize, Jungkook's home isn't just a place to live. It's a silent statement of an individual's independence after years of living under the spotlight and relentless schedules. One of the things that is most often discussed is how the house is designed to give a sense of normal that has been difficult for idols of Jungkook's class to achieve. There is a dining room that is used quietly, without cameras, without crew. There are corners of the house that are deliberately modest, far from pretentious, as if he wants to remind himself of where he came from. To some, this seems trivial, but for those who understand the rigors of idol life since their teens, that simplicity actually feels very expensive. The industry began to compare. It's not about who is richer, but who is better prepared for long-term pressure. Many young idols are now debuting with instant popularity, but without a strong life foundation. This is where Jungkook's house is considered an emotional blueprint, an example of how living space can be the last bastion when the outside world is too noisy. A senior staff member who has worked with various global artists said Jungkook's home atmosphere was quiet but warm. There is no cold impression a la celebrity house in general. There is no distance that makes people feel small. There is a sense of security that is hard to explain. This statement then spread, leaving many parties speechless. Because security is the rarest thing in the world of entertainment. What makes this story even stronger is the public awareness that all this was built without a heroic narrative. Jungkook never said that he wanted to change the industry. He never claimed to be a pioneer. But that's precisely why the impact feels more real. He does not patronize, he just lives in his own way. And the watching world slowly adjusts its gaze. For fans, the story about Jungkook's house turned into an emotional reflection. Many began to relate every facility, every detail to the course of his life. A child who leaves home at a very young age, lives in a hostel, moves around the country, and grows up below the expectations of millions. The house was finally understood as the answer to all the fatigue that he never spoke in front of the camera. Not a few are aware that this new standard is quietly slapping the old system. A system accustomed to demanding perfection without providing room to breathe. A system that often worships results, but forgets the human process behind it. With real-life examples like Jungkook's, the excuse to ignore idols' well-being is even harder to maintain. Interestingly, discussions about Jungkook's house also spread outside the K-pop world. International media began to highlight how Asian artists are now no longer just following Western standards, but creating their own. Jungkook's house is seen as a symbol of a shift in power, that global idols are no longer just products of success, but architects of their own lives.